Troy Trojans go back-to-back. It's a Locked On Sunbelt.
You are Locked On Sunbelt, your daily podcast on the Sunbelt Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, Dave Schultz back with another edition of Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. Today's episode brought to you by LinkedIn. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnCollege. Terms and conditions apply. All right, back from the Sunbelt Championship game in Troy. We'll obviously lead with that. Impressive win for the Trojans. We'll talk about that nation-leading 12 bowl berths. And then more guys are in the portal. And we still have a job opening in the Sunbelt as well. We'll talk about that more when it gets filled, obviously. All right, let's talk about this ball game up in Troy. And it really was a much closer ball game than it would appear because, I mean, they blew them out in the fourth quarter, right? It's a 21-17 ball game heading into the fourth quarter. There was nothing going on in the first quarter. In fact, there wasn't a whole lot going on in the second quarter until halfway through it. Troy finally breaks through, gets a couple of touchdowns to take a 14-0 lead. App then gets one right before the half, makes it a 7-point ball game, got right back in it, and then scores to begin the second half. And then it's a 14-14 ball game. And then Troy gets their first possession second half, and they score, making it 21-14. So in the first 6 possessions of the game, no touchdowns. And then 5 of the next 6 possessions, there were touchdowns. This is kind of where the game sort of turned and what I like to say spun out of control for App State. It's a 21-14 ball game. Troy actually gets a 3-and-out, forces a 3-and-out, but they fumble the punt. App recovers. And instead of App State scoring a touchdown to tie the ball game up, Troy holds them to a field goal. So now it's 21-17. Troy takes the ensuing kickoff, and they score a touchdown. It's 28-17. On the first play of App State's next possession, Don Callis knocks the ball out of Joey Aguilar's hands and scoops it up himself and takes it in for a touchdown. And very quickly, a 21-17 ball game is now 35-17. And that was basically all she wrote. Kimani Vidal takes over in the fourth quarter. I mean, just a total ball game for him. 233 yards, 5 touchdowns. He was dominating. App really didn't have an answer for him later on in the ball game. It could have been being tired. It could have been, in the blink of an eye, we sort of lost this ball game, right? I mean, it happened fast, right? We don't score a touchdown. We give up a touchdown. And before we even get going on the next drive, it was now 35-17. Now, let me see if we can find it quickly. Let me see the scoring here because it happened really fast. All right. So App State with 3:50 left to go in the third quarter makes it a 21-17 ball game. Next possession is Troy's touchdown. Kimani Vidal, a 2-yard touchdown run. That makes it 28-17 with just about 11 minutes to go, all right, in the game. Well, with 10:51 to go in the game is the fumble. So we went from 3:50 to go in the third quarter, 21-17, to 10:51, 35-17. That's not even 8 minutes of game time. And boom, blowout. So really impressive. I don't think App State has anything to be ashamed of. Tough spot for them to be in. Crowd was probably what you expected it to be on a cloudy, rainy day, and the SEC championship game going on at the exact same time, featuring obviously Alabama and Georgia. But congratulations to Troy. And I do want to talk about one thing. John Summerall mentioned on how, they had to win games differently last year than they did this year. Last year was kind of running and defense. This year, Gunnar Watson was a big part of the offense, right? He basically went 2 months without throwing an interception, which is unheard of at any level. And I don't want to say he was pedestrian, but he didn't make any mistakes in the championship ball game. He had a solid ball game. He kind of had the version of last year without the interceptions. The last year version of Gunnar Watson, 16-24, 192 yards, and a touchdown. Again, no mistakes. His one touchdown was, I think about a 20-yard pass to Chris Lewis, and Lewis ran for the other 30 yards. May have been a push-off on that one, but it was a 51-yard touchdown pass to Chris Lewis. I thought Gunnar Watson played very well in the ball game, but obviously overshadowed by Vidal. Joey Aguilar, 28-39, 275. App State couldn't really get the ball running because they fell behind, so you kind of have to stop the running. They rushed it for 41 times and, 108 yards. A lot of that is sacks, 39 yards, minus 39 yards. So closer to actually 150 yards of rushing, but you got to take the sacks total away. It was 153 yards without the sack yardage. So App State, they were behind, got back into it, but then it spun out of control. So congratulations to Troy and John Summerall. It appears he's going to be back. They did announce on Sunday they're getting a practice facility. We'll see how long that takes, right? A lot of the guys in that room won't be able to enjoy that. It'd be nice if that stuff is done in a year. You would think a practice facility would be the easiest thing to, an indoor facility would be the easiest thing to build because it's just a shell. You don't need much of anything. So we'll see if that is done by not the 24 season, but for the 25 season, right? So we'll see if that is the case. All right, Troy is your back-to-back champions. John Summerall's come in, and he's won, 2 championships in his first 2 years. That is certainly setting the standard, right? We hear that all the time in the East. Well, Marshall wins championships, and Georgia Southern wins championships, and App State wins championships, and James Madison wins championships, right? Well, now Troy does. This is their 8th Sun Belt championship. I think I saw that. And certainly their 2nd in a row. So good stuff there. I thought they did a good job. One of the things I could not imagine doing, the marching band before the game ran down the stairs. And I'm like, it's one thing to do that with a flute. It's another thing to do that with a tuba. And one dude was running, a couple guys were running down the stairs with a tuba. Thank goodness they didn't do it after half because it was probably a little wet by that point in time. But good job by everybody involved. I think, obviously JMU thinks they should have been there, but, impressed with App State, how they turned their season around, right? Their season was going in one direction and it, ended up in another direction, and they're going bowling. And Sean Clark and those guys have nothing to be ashamed about. All right, let's take a timeout. When we come back, we'll go over those 12 bowl invites. I'll tell you, Brett McMurphy got a lot of those right. Didn't get all of them right, but he got a few right. We'll talk about them next. It is Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. Let me tell you about LinkedIn. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to have as many top-tier candidates as possible to interview. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just another job board. LinkedIn has a vast network of more than 1 billion professionals, which makes it the best place to hire. Hiring is easy when you have that many quality candidates. So easy, in fact, that 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. LinkedIn knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats and may not have the time or resources to hire. Thankfully, with LinkedIn, the process is intuitive, quick, and easy. They even just launched a feature that helps you write job descriptions, making the process even easier and quicker. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. Let's quickly go over some of the, well, we'll not go over some of them. We'll go over all of them and see, maybe I can find what Brett McMurphy had, because he did have some of these correct, right? He changed for the Cajuns in Jacksonville State, and that leaked. Our guys over at Rage and Review sort of stumbled upon it. Maybe we'll find out how they did that, or they get a notification, but they stumbled upon the Cajuns in Jacksonville State playing in the New Orleans Bowl on Saturday, December 16th. He also, at one point, had Old Dominion in Western Kentucky in the Frisco Bowl, or something like that, but then moved him to the famous Toastery Bowl. Got that right. That's on Monday, December 18th. He has Arkansas State in Northern Illinois in the Camellia Bowl. He had that one right. And then I think he had Texas State. I don't think it was with Rice, but that is in the First Responder Bowl, and that's in Frisco. That's the day after Christmas, and that's against Rice. So you could get some good it's going to be tough on December 26th, the day after Christmas, to go to a bowl game. But you could have a good crowd there. So some of these other ball games, let's see here. Saturday, December 16th, Georgia Southern versus Ohio, the Myrtle Beach Bowl. We told you the Cajuns are taking on Jacksonville State in New Orleans. All right. Avocados from Mexico Cure Bowl, App State and Miami of Ohio out of the MAC. That is in Orlando. Monday, the 18th, it is Old Dominion, Western Kentucky, the Toastery Bowl, famous Toastery Bowl. Scooters Coffee. Oh, there's the Frisco Bowl. I'm sorry. All right, so I can't think that's in Dallas. The First Responder Bowl, I thought I saw that in Dallas. I'm sorry. Scooters Coffee Frisco Bowl. We just got a Scooters Coffee here in Lafayette. That's Marshall versus UTSA. So that's the Frisco Bowl. And then Saturday, the 23rd, you got 6 teams. Troy versus Duke. And I think Josh Botwell said this is the first time in a long time that a Sun Belt team is playing a Power 5 team in a bowl game. It would have been more fun if it was with Riley Leonard, as Craig Stevenson from AL.com pointed out. But Riley Leonard, not only injured, but in the transfer portal. So that is a shame. So we'll see. Troy is basically hosting Duke. That's an 11 a.m. ball game, local time. The Birmingham Bowl, Saturday, December 23rd. We told you the Camellia Bowl, Arkansas State versus Northern Illinois. That is in Montgomery. You got the famous Idaho Potato Bowl, Georgia State, the guys from Atlanta going out to Boise to take on Utah State on December 23rd. Pack the Long Johns. You got the Armed Forces Bowl, JMU taking on Air Force. Air Force kind of faded down the stretch. And South Alabama playing at home. They got this one right, too. Brett McMurphy got this one right as well. South Alabama hosting Eastern Michigan. The first thing that South Alabama has to do, with all due respect to the sponsor, Hancock Whitney, you got to change the nickname of the stadium. No one's going to the Wit. No one knows what the Wit is. There's no play on words with the Wit. All right? It's the bank. You got the vault. You know, you got all kinds of things you can do. Safety, deposit and everything like that. All kind of things you can do. People much smarter than I am. Although I'm smart enough to know that the Wit is not a nickname for a stadium. The bank is. All right? Figure it out. Welcome to my TED Talk. The Easy Post Hawaii Bowl, Coastal Carolina versus San Jose State. There could be worse things to do than go to the Hawaii Bowl. And then the First Responder Bowl is Texas State versus Rice, but I think that is in Dallas. So I messed it up. I still would have liked to see, a JMU or a Troy versus Toledo. Liberty ended up getting the Group of 5 New Year's 6-day Bowl. They're playing Oregon. I think Liberty's going to get toasted by Oregon. If Bo Nix sticks around to play the bowl game and leads Oregon, and they are not hungover for what happened against Washington, I think Liberty's going to get roasted. They played perhaps the worst schedule in America. Went undefeated, and we can talk all about that as well. I still don't know how Troy is not in the top 25. Anybody else in America having won 10 in a row, not ranked in the top 25? They got votes to be also, but geez, how many do you have to win in a row to get ranked? We'll see about that Eastern Michigan. We'll see if South Alabama is enthused about this. It is a home game, and it is the beginning of Christmas week. Let me see where we got that. Christmas weekend. It is Saturday, December 23rd. So the students will not be around. All right. So the students won't be there. See if you can fill it up. It's the weekend beforehand. You could look at it the other way. All of the students who go away to school, excuse me, will be back. So you could look at it that way, although they may not be, South Alabama fans. It's something to do on a Saturday. It is at night, 6 p.m. local time. It'll be interesting to see if South Alabama, can rebound a little bit more. There's a lot less, a lot easier, I guess, operational wise. You can do everything in town. Probably have to go cross town a few times, but you get to do everything in town. And we'll see if they do a better job than they did last year against Western Kentucky when, I'm not sure they've rebounded from the Western Kentucky loss. If we start to think about it, they have not really rebounded well from the Western Kentucky loss. We shall see if they do it here. All right, but 12 teams in a bowl games. That's an amazing accomplishment for the Sun Belt. And we'll see who, is going to play and who isn't. I think Jordan McLeod did say he was going to play. He's going to transfer. He's also transferring out. That was announced over the weekend. He's transferring from JMU, so we'll get into that here momentarily, but he is planning on playing in the bowl game. It was mentioned that Kurt Signetti was going to coach JMU. I'm not sure he's really wanted back. I don't think anyone's got hard feelings that he left to go take a Power 5 job from Indiana. But they asked him, what are you going to be doing for the, next couple of weeks? And he's like, well, 90% is going to be Indiana. 10% is going to be JMU. I'll just go back and coach the game. And, you saw some tweeters. Hey, thanks, coach. We appreciate everything. We got this, kind of like, you want to put us in the rearview mirror? Go ahead and put us in the rearview mirror. It's okay. Go do your thing. Don't kind of swoop in and, coach the game for whatever reason. So I'm not sure that's all that welcomed by the JMU people. All right, let's take a time out. Let's check out more guys in the transfer portal. The Cajuns finally got one guy into the portal. We'll see if that lasts. I mean, you hope these guys, the problem with going into the portal, you better have a spot. That's the only thing, right? You better have a spot. This can't be I'm rolling the dice to see if it, comes up what I want it to come up. All right. Let's take a time out. When we come back, we will talk about the guys in the transfer portal. Time to talk to you about FanDuel. As the weather gets colder, the NFL offers stay hot on FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. All right. Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. Could have been a good and bad situation. Could not bet over the weekend. There is none in the state of Alabama. Can't do it. So, watching the Oregon-Washington game at one point in time, to begin with, right, Jane Daniels became a betting favorite, but then Bo Nix became the betting favorite. And I think at one point in time, you could have gotten Jane Daniels like a plus 200. Look what he is now. I think at the Sun Belt Championship game, I saw him minus 1,400. Yeah. So these things can be a lot of fun. Also missed out on the Pelicans on Friday night. But then they lost Saturday, although I'm not sure I would have bet on it when they had some guys out. I say that now, but so we'll be back to using FanDuel anyway here back in the state of Louisiana. All right, let's check out these transfer portal guys, see if it's updated. I use the list from, Howell Razor, Jeremy Harper, who covers Arkansas State. Let's see if it is updated. It's not completely updated. We do have a lot of guys leaving some other schools. Like, did I count that right? Was it 13 for Coastal Carolina? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's 12. Georgia State has a lot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's a lot. JMU, 1, 2, 3, 4. Not much. Marshall's got 3 listed. I think some others have decided to move on as well. Charles Huff said it's kind of walk-ons that were looking for scholarships. All right. Surprised about Old Dominion. Old Dominion has a bunch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's a lot. And as we mentioned last week, late Colin Lacey from South Alabama did put his name in the portal. Maybe they find out how much they're. I can't imagine that somebody doesn't want Colin Lacey. Already, 5th in the nation in receptions, 5th in the nation in receiving yards. So I'm going to figure that. We'll see. I think On3 had worth like $400,000 in NIL deal. So we'll see. ULM, probably nothing new here. They also had 3, 6, 9, 11 guys in the portal. So we'll keep up with that. Kendry Gant did go in for the Cajuns. That's interesting. We'll see. He had a pretty good year for UL, and it's a shame he's not coming back, to be honest with you. So that is unfortunate. But Jamarcus Fitzpatrick, he tweeted about it. Local broadcaster here for in Lafayette. Gant finished with 64 tackles, 12 tackles for loss, 6 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, and 3 fumble recoveries. So we do wish him the best. All right. I'm a big proponent of these kids getting a little something, and we shall see if we'll see if he gets picked up. All right. Because, you can all of a sudden, put yourself in the portal and then find yourself without a spot to play. And that's got to be the scary thing. Again, I got to figure Colin Lacey's going to find a place to play. You also, you do want to better yourself, right? A little bit. So we'll see if you can jump a level or not, right? You don't want to jump to another group of 5 team unless there's some NIL deal, right? So we'll see. The Cajuns just started an NIL collective. We'll see if they can maybe convince Mr. Gant to stick around. All right. I'm not sure how, they just announced that, a couple months ago. And so who knows how much they have already to disperse. So obviously there's a lot of players and these things are just getting going. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in. Good episode. Good trip to Troy. It's a long way though. I got up early Sunday morning, a couple of pit stops in the middle of it, and then listened to the Saints on the way back. Oh man. That made it longer. All right. We're trying to get some players and some coaches. Some are busy, some are not, to be on this week. So hopefully we will be able to entertain you. Oh, and by the way, App State basketball hosted and beat Auburn. That's a nice win. Congratulations to the guys there in lovely Boone, North Carolina. All right. Once again, I'm Dave Schultz. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll have great shows throughout the week. Really thank you for subscribing. We had a big week. All right. We're going to try I need 40 a week. All right. I got 4 weeks to go. This is a drive for 1,000. We're doing the drive for 1,000. If you do listen, I should have done this at the beginning. If you listen all the way through, we're going to try and get 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year. All right. Please help me out. It's a huge help. We could explain some of the details later on, but it would be a big help if we could get 1,000 subscribers. All right. So thank you so much. Don't forget the audio podcast. If you can't watch on YouTube, you can always get it wherever you get your audio podcast. We are most popular are Apple Podcast and Spotify. Once again, I'm your host, Dave Schultz. About the 14th time I've said that. You've been watching Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day.